My name is Myra Harris Johnson. I'm a civilian employee for the Fridley Police Department. You can tell I'm bulkier around the middle because I'm middle-aged, not because I'm wearing a gun belt or any of the things that police officers wear. So we're here today to talk to you about the different things that seniors tend to fall victim to, okay? And some of the things that you can do in your own life to help keep yourself safe. Liz Chevalier, my coworker, she and I have a vast amount of experience of looking at the hindsight and looking at these reports that come in every day. And today I'm going to show you 10 different reports that are all victims from Fridley that are all going to be mentioned on the PowerPoint, or different types on the PowerPoint that we're going to do. And so that you will see, not only is this on the news, but it happens right here in Fridley. You'll be able to see both pieces of that. So we're excited to present this to you because the last thing we want to see are more victims. And then we also have Target, who's here. Target gets a great opportunity. They get to see crime in action. Police departments, we take reports about crime that happened, past tense. But we rarely get to see crime when it actually occurs. Target, on the other hand, they see your behavior, seniors' behavior, and then they see how you fall victim to that. So we're giving Target the platform to come here and let you know, here's what we see, and here's what you can do differently so that you can not become a victim of crime.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
My name's Troy. First of all, thank you for showing up on this cold day and getting out here and learning more about security, learning more about how can you prevent yourself from being a victim of a crime while shopping, or even in your home too, while you're shopping, maybe on the phone or whatever, or you're receiving a phone call from somebody that calls you, whatever. So I've got some notes here, but I may get off track and I'll let these guys be, Liz and Myra be my time clock, and say, reel me in and say, give me a wave, and I'll know what I have, like 5 minutes left or something like that. But I've been with Target for about over 8-9 years, so I've got some great experience, what we've seen there as far as theft and security incidents, safe and secure situations, property theft, vehicle related, or in the store with a purse or wallet being stolen. So without further ado, I'm going to give you kind of the nuts and bolts of what to do and what not to do. But first thing is, this is kind of like age appropriate as far as senior citizens, but really is all ages. So what I'm applying, you could teach your child, grandchild, your neighbors and stuff like that. They can apply this stuff too. So the first thing that we see on a high mark as far as theft and situations at Target is what do you bring to Target and what you not bring to Target. So knowing what you bring in is a huge leap forward to knowing what's getting stolen. A lot of people will come in, well, I'm missing my wallet, or I'm missing my purse or my keys or whatever, and a lot of times, sometimes, guess what? They're still sitting at the house. So knowing what you have or don't have is very, very important. Another thing is knowing what kind of purse to wear and have. For us guys, we have our wallets usually, and it's in the back pocket. Sometimes that's okay. Sometimes it's better to have that in the front. If it's small enough to fit in the front, then that's the best place to put it. But for the ladies that have purses, I highly recommend, this is a trend, so I'm giving you a huge nuts and bolts here. These small purses, the Coach purses, the small ones that do not have the strap is a huge target. If you've got a strap on it and you can put it on your shoulder diagonally, that's the huge win for you. The Coach purses, the small little wallets, they go, guess where? You can't hold them all the time when you're shopping. Guess where they go? They go in that cart, they go in that baby seat, and the system has, they see that. The subjects see that as you a victim, and you're escalated and you're spotted basically to go, okay, this might be a person that is going to do, we can get something from them. Another thing is they will distract you. So be aware of your surroundings. That's probably if I can, give all of my talk in the 1 or 2 words, it's being aware of your surroundings. When you're aware of your surroundings, you'll be more attentive to what's going on and seeing what's around you. So if somebody comes up to you and, hey, can you help me? I don't know about this sauce. Have you seen that sauce? And you turn your back on your cart, that's the time somebody is partnering with that subject, and they're going to take that wallet or purse from that cart. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. Why would you guys be a target? Number 1 would be you've got a nest egg, probably. You've got money stashed away. Another reason is you're less likely maybe to report it. You may be embarrassed to report it to authorities. And maybe your memory. So one of the things that I always do, I'm not that old either, but I always have a piece of paper so I can jot down something real quick. And there's been many times where I'm in the parking lot and something happens and I got a license plate right there because I've got a pen and paper handy. So sometimes I have to go to memory and try to remember that license plate. But one of the biggest things is if something does happen, don't resist. And be aware of somebody come up to you and doing solicitation, asking for money and stuff like that. They might be wanting to open your wallet, and you're only going to give them $1 or $5. But when they see the wad of cash in there, all they need to do is grab it real quick, and then they're going to be running. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. Is if you're in a giving mood, always have maybe a little couple bucks in your pocket and give it out of that pocket versus having your wallet being opened up. They might just take that whole wallet from you. So just be aware of that kind of stuff. So don't display small, only have small amounts of cash. Don't leave your purse unattended. I mentioned that before. Lock packages in trunks. So if you're a driver and you have your vehicle in the parking lot, please do not have visible valuables sitting out in the vehicle, locked or not. Those are times that they can walk through the parking lot, and we do many parking lot patrols and go greet those people when we see them looking through vehicles, and that they're not trying to look for their vehicle, they're spotting and looking and stuff like that. So we do what we call parking lot patrols. Another good tip is to bring a friend. If you can, go shopping with a friend. That friendship can be, a partner to you to help watch your stuff, and you can watch their stuff, and you're watching each other out. And then when you're leaving the store, always good to look behind you, make sure that no one's following you. When somebody's following you in the store and you feel uncomfortable at Target or any other store, you should immediately go to their security and say, I'd like to have an escort out of the store. I don't feel safe. Do not feel embarrassed to say, I feel unsafe here. And that's what part of my job is. And I love to escort people out of the store because then I know that you guys are being proactive, and that's helping me do my job, so I don't have to do the report, but I'm preventing it from happening. And that's huge, accolade to ending my shift for the day. It's like, I wouldn't think we prevented something from happening. And that's always a good feeling. Most of the shoplifting events happen when we're probably the busiest. When it's a quiet store, it usually doesn't happen. As far as theft goes, that's kind of any time. But as far as the scams and the impact on the shoppers, it's usually when it's busy. It's that situation where they deter you or detract you, and then you're like, what happened to my wallet? And sometimes, a lot of times, guess what? The person doesn't know that they're missing their purse or wallet until when? You go to the checkout counter, and then that's when you're pulling out your wallet, and you're like, where's my wallet? And then guess what? They're gone. They're gone by that time.
If someone has like a stolen credit card And like say they take it to Target and then they've called in, is there like a red flag for you then, or that it's been stolen, or is it just declined?
Sometimes it's declined. We don't have a red flag like globally or electronically to say that that card has been stolen.
Okay.
Sometimes we'll know, you know, when they come in and they don't take that credit card out of their wallet or out of the purse, they just pull it out of their pocket. That might be a sign that, hey, we might want to you know, get more information or do a report, because that might lead to a report from the victim calling in, or having Fridley PD, you know, calling and say, hey, you know, a card was used and the victim had called them. So it kind of goes all over the place, you know, as far
So
as.
then, so if it ever does happen and someone has like a stolen credit card, do you, and you find out, or you know, or you're aware of it, do you call the authorities then, or?
Sometimes we have to do that because we know we know it. A lot of times we don't,
Okay.
and it's really tough sometimes to know whether it's a stolen credit card or not, because we don't know. You know, sometimes they don't have their driver's license with, so we don't know if it's really them or not.
Alright, okay.
You know, one of the times it's obvious is when it's a male shopper and they're using a credit card and the credit card name pops up on the system as a girl, as a lady. Then we know that, oh, okay, this is probably, and that's when we'll do the report. But a lot of times it's after the fact.
The top scams targeting seniors, that's what we're going to talk about, and how it happens here in Fridley, and it happens every day. I can always tell when Liz is sitting in her cubicle because she's quicker at reading reports than I am. And so when we get to a senior scam or somebody else that got scammed, you'll hear her go, ah! And I'm like, somebody got it, because Liz is in her cubicle being upset. So here's what you need to do. You need to be wise and cautious. You need to be informed. You need to take as many of these classes. There are a ton of people like myself out here talking about this problem right now, okay? And there are people, I'm talking about it on the most basic level, all right? I am not an expert in computer or technology, as you can see, and but nor am I foolish to how people get scammed every day, because I see it every week, all the time. And be empowered. It's okay to take care of yourself. We have a problem here in Minnesota. Now, I'm originally from Alabama, and you probably won't know that unless you see me mad, and if you see me mad, just get out of the way. But I'm originally from the South, and if you were in Atlanta, you were in Birmingham, you were down in Florida, people are not as polite in Minnesota as they are in Minnesota, I should say. Minnesotans are very polite. So when Troy talks about you get distracted and you help somebody figure out which is the best pasta sauce, yeah, we do that in Minnesota. I am also the tallest person in my family. Now you ask why I say that. Because do you know how many times I get asked to take stuff off the top shelf at the grocery store? Mm-hmm. And my mother is, and at Target, and my mother is 5'1". All right, so I have always looked like the funny girl hugging her mom, okay? So there are things that people will ask you. Young people will ask you about recipes, because guess what? You have a vast experience in cooking that they probably don't have. They have all kinds of ways of reading you. We telegraph our actions every day. All of us do, okay? So if you're in Target or the grocery store and your cart is full of all things that you would make from scratch, not frozen pizzas and mac and cheese, they know you know how to cook. And these people are very, very crafty. They make a living, excuse my language, screwing people out of money, okay? So they become artistic at their trade. They will figure those things about you and capitalize on it. If you have a t-shirt that say, my grandkids are the greatest, and then what do? They start talking to you about kids. Of course you're going to chime in, right? Because your grandkids are the greatest. So you need to be empowered to say, no, I can't help you, or I'm sorry. There's some funny facts about Fridley. Some of you might know this. During the day, we get up to about 108,000 people. We're a very large city during the day. We're a first-ring suburb. and we get very large. So we actually have more patrol officers on during the day than we do at night, because our residential population is only about 29,000. That's actually kind of high. We've gone as low as 26,000. 45% of the folks living in our city are my age or older, okay? So guess what? We got a lot of seniors in our community. 56% of victims of scams are seniors because, okay, let's face it, sometimes young people have no problem being rude. I have a problem being rude. I have to say please and thank you because I can still feel Jackie bopping me upside the head when I didn't do that, right? I can still feel it, and that was a long time ago. So 56% of our scam victims come in that way. So we have to realize that all of us don't see the world the same way as young people do. We weren't raised on technology. We weren't raised to be rude. We still carry those traits with us today. And there's nothing wrong with being polite. We just have to, like Troy was saying, we have to be very, very aware of our surroundings. If somebody asks you to get that thing off the top shelf, make sure your wallet's in your hand. The other recommendation I have for that is carry as little in your wallet as you possibly can. Okay? Don't give them a lot of extra information about you if they get it. Between Liz and I, we have 47 years of law enforcement experience. Okay? I've been with the city of Fridley for 20 years. She's been with the city of Fridley for 27 years. We have 47 years of experience. I think I can speak for both of us when I tell you that we have had plenty of training on what this body language tells you and what that body language tells you and when you should do this and when you should do that. And here's what I've learned over the years. There's one thing that always tells me the truth, and that's my gut. My gut, the hair on the back of my head, will tell me every time if a situation is not right. And what we do in this world is we tend to talk ourselves out of it. You're not being nice. You're not being polite. Oh, they wouldn't do that. Look how nice she looks. Oh, you talk yourself out of it. Don't talk yourself out of it because your gut will tell you every time. I will give you a perfect example. I worked with the homeless for many, many years. And I had a client that I had worked with on and off for probably 5 or 6 years. And she came into my office one day acting like she normally does, but something was amiss. Something was amiss, and I couldn't put my finger on it. She wasn't yelling at me. She wasn't upset. And the next thing I know, when I looked down at a piece of paper to get some information for her and looked up, she had a brass-handled cane, and she had turned that around, and she was whacking me in the head with it. My gut told me when she walked into my office that something wasn't right. Wasn't really anything she said or did. My gut told me that. I should have trusted my gut and stood up and never looked down at that piece of paper where I then left myself vulnerable because I didn't see it coming. But I felt it. Trust me, I felt it. Okay? So, if you take nothing away from what I say today, trust your gut. It always knows. Okay? It's shrewd, not rude, to tell a telemarketer click. Now, I think I sent you an email last week when you were asking me about these folks that are calling and leaving these messages. So several years ago, my father-in-law was very ill, and I was secondary on the call list. And that healthcare facility, I don't know which one it was. I don't know if it was the doctor's office, the rehab center, or the hospital that sold my number to him. Well, what they sold was the police department's telephone number. That's what they sold, because I gave the police department's telephone number as my office, because that's where my office is, right? So to this day, my father-in-law has been gone for 4 years. To this day, I get phone calls from scammers at the police department. So I'll be talking to someone in my office, and I'll look over at the caller ID, and I will see that it's one of those scammer numbers that I've gotten 400 times, and I just pick it up and hang it up. Now, I know folks who don't know me and know this story look at me and go, she just hung up on somebody. And I kind of get a smirk out of it anyway. So, it's not rude to just hang up on them. There's no point in having a conversation because they're not worried. They can make 5,000 phone calls, and if they get one person to participate in their scam, they've made money for the week. All right? So keep that up. Do not give away your personal information. Okay? They go on Facebook or they go on all these other social media sites and they look up all kinds of things about you. They will know your name. They will know your grandchildren's name. They will know you retired from someplace. They will know that you were a teacher for 40 years. There are a lot of things they will know about you that, what does that do? That builds trust. And if they can get you to trust them, then they can take advantage of you. So keep that in mind. You don't need to give anybody the fact that you live alone, that information. You don't need to give anybody your address. Certainly do not give them your social security number. All right? You don't have to give people anything. How many of you have gotten the sweepstakes lottery? Woohoo! Are you going on a cruise? Can I go with you? Because I hate the cold. I told you I was from Alabama, right? That's right. That's right. So you get a check or letter, and we just had this happen. Liz and I were going out the door today, and someone who works at the city got a $2,500 check in the mail. Nothing attached. And it says if you deposit this and then send us back a fraction of that, the rest is yours to keep. Well, now you just participated. Now I'm going to tell you, technically, you just participated in the crime. So now you're as much a suspect as you are a victim, right? We try not to see you as a suspect, but you are, because you deposited the check and kept the money, and it wasn't yours. In the state of Minnesota and anywhere, you do not have to pay fees when you've won that cruise, all right? So if it says the taxes and the fees, there are no taxes and fees. If you win it, you win it, all right? It's yours. That is not how we operate here, okay? So it can come by phone, it can come by email, it can come by snail mail, the U.S. Postal Service.
Today it came by FedEx.
Today it came by FedEx. That's right. That's right. Okay? The prize is, you've won a cruise means that you just get to go on a cruise. It doesn't mean there's all these hoops for you to jump through. Okay? But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be asked to send money back or purchase something or give them something. They're not doing it for free. Trust me. You know, how many of us grew up hearing nothing in this world's free? Trust me, nothing in this world's free. And I bet it's only good for today. Well, why is it only good for today? You know, why is it only good for today? My neighborhood has gopher moles getting our yards. It's all over the place. Drives me crazy. Drives me absolutely crazy. Some guy was going through the neighborhood. He was selling all these ways. I don't know, we paid $600. They'd get rid of these moles and they wouldn't be tearing up my yard anymore and eating the roots of all my vegetables and garden. But the offer was only good today. And I'm like, well, lo and behold, I'm not buying today. Okay?
Did he have the name on the truck?
He did have a uniform on, and I said, I bet you'll be back around next week. Yep. So I promise you the check is counterfeit. You do not have to have lost your checkbook for them to be able to make counterfeit checks out of your checking account and routing number. They can obtain that in a multitude of ways, okay? When you send money to pay those fees, that money is gone because it will leave the country. And once it leaves this country, there is nothing law enforcement can do for you except say, I'm sorry. All right? And that's really hard for our law enforcement officers to handle, the fact that your money just went to Nigeria or Jamaica. Jamaica actually has a whole task force committed to this because they're like leading the way right now in people who are scamming.
Can anything be traced by those checks that they send you?
Well, it goes to Western Union, and who picks it up? We'll never know. Sometimes it goes to Canada. Canada seems to have a few hot spots as well. But we can trace it to that Western Union or to that pickup account, but we can't figure out who did it or who picked up the money. And you willingly sent it. See the problem? Okay. All right. How many of us have heard this? If it sounds too good to be true, it is. And all of us get, again, these scammers get very, very good at connecting to your emotions. And if they can get those emotions triggered, so if they talk about your grandchildren or they talk about the fact you worked someplace for 40 years or they can do all those things, they can reel you in. It's like fishing. I always say when law enforcement officers are running traffic up and down Highway 65, you guys are out fishing today. Well, scammers kind of do the same thing. They're out fishing. All right? So you have to keep that in mind. They're going to learn some things about you so that they can emotionally pull you in. So Minnesota law states, if you really want a prize, you just need to come pick it up, or they'll mail it to you, but you owe nothing. So remember that. It's the law. They can't do this. There is not a prize in Minnesota where they can do that. And if they do, guess what? It's not legitimate. I'm going to pass around 10 reports. And I got them on green paper, because remember, I'm not Minnesota nice. I'm not really trusting. So I redacted all the personal information out of these reports. Not that it's not public information, it's just who needs to have their pain shared with others. So these are reports that come out of Fridley. These are scams that actually happened in Fridley. Some of our victims are not, they're not seniors.
They're all different reports. by
They're
the
all
way.
different. So you just pass them around.
With somebody.
Just pass them around and take a look at them. If I did accidentally forget to redact something, please point it out to me so I can fix that.
Okay.
All right? And the reason I choose now to put this up is because we're going to talk about home repair fraud. And there is a home repair fraud in here somewhere, and I will tell you how often this happens to our Fridley seniors. Someone knocks on their door. Hi, I've got some asphalt left over from a job I just did, and I see that your asphalt is torn up. You know, for $50, I'll lay this down for you and fix your thing, and your driveway, and you'll be good to go, right? What's the first question you should ask?
Do you have a license in Fridley?
Do you have a license in Fridley? Awesome. Yes. Just because you have a license in Fridley does not mean that we think you're a great straight A organization. You very well could be, but we don't know that. But we have checked you out enough that we say it's okay if you peddle, if you're a peddler or a solicitor in Fridley. Does that make sense? So they knock on your door, they tell you that they're going to fix the driveway for $50. They throw down some asphalt over what's already there so it's going to buckle in a matter of weeks. And then they tell you you owe them $500. Yep, happens every single summer. And every single summer, somebody writes them a check and pays them. Or $1,000, or $1,500. Or in one case, $4,000. This woman paid them for asphalt that wasn't going to work. Okay? I think that was another time Liz sat in her cubicle and yelled. Ugh! Okay? All right? So, when someone knocks on your door and offers you asphalt in Fridley, now these poor people, they're going to be like, who is that woman in Fridley that keeps saying don't answer the door? Okay, first of all, if you aren't looking to get your driveway repaired, don't answer the door. You see a guy out there with a tar truck, don't answer the door. There's no need, because they're just going to try to talk you into services that you aren't looking for. Now, if you call them, you call A+ driveway, and A+ driveway shows up at your door and gives you a quote, awesome, because you were looking for it. They gave you a legitimate quote. They're a legitimate business. All is good with the world. You don't like the quote, you say sorry, see you later. All right? Remember about being empowered? When they come to your door and they're unsolicited, we have another one that happens in Fridley a lot. I don't know how this happens. Someone's selling meat out of their trunk. All the time. All the time, every summer, every summer. Someone's selling meat out of their trunk. They knock on your door. Did you call Omaha Steaks to come sell you some steaks? If you did not, say goodbye. If you ask for a solicitor's license and they don't want to provide you with one, say have a nice day and close the door. Then it is perfectly all right for you to dial 911 and let our officers check them out. You don't have to announce you're calling the police, and you're not bothering us. An example, last week, some gentlemen were going door to door in the neighborhood, and they were offering to shovel all that heavy, wet snow. Two poor little boys had socks on their feet. Then they found a house that didn't have anybody, and they burglarized it. One of our officers had even considered driving by, because we have mittens in our car for our officers to give away, and he's like, they had mittens on their socks on their feet. I was going to give them a pair of the mittens that we have to give away. And then they burgled. And then our officers chased them and arrested them, and they're in jail. Okay? The reason they're in jail is because a very alert neighbor who had said no to their shoveling watched them go across the street and go into someone's house. All right? So keep that in mind, that if you're not looking for someone to do those things, now if the neighbor boy that you've known since he was in that little blue blanket and was so cute, if he comes to your door and wants to shovel your driveway, that's a whole different thing. But if it's somebody you don't recognize from the neighborhood and you don't know from the neighborhood, please say no. Because burglars tend to knock on your front door and then go around through the back door after nobody answers. Okay? So, someone with a tar truck comes and wants to repair your driveway, tell them no thank you. So, like you were saying, Fridley Code says it's unlawful for a peddler or any solicitor to engage in business without a permit from us. And again, that permit from us does not say we're saying they're the best magazine salesman in the world and they'll get great magazines. We're just saying we've checked them out and they can come door to door. All right?
Last summer it was roofing company.
Oh,
After the storm.
after the storm, the roofing companies did.
Went crazy.
We actually had to hire a part-time inspector for a short period of time because we had too many roofs to inspect. And we also had an issue. Hoffman Weber is a large construction company. They're nationwide. They're also based here out of Fridley. And Hoffman Weber, you have inside your flyer a bookmark that talks about senior scams and what happens to seniors. Hoffman Weber paid for those because they were mortified by the number of roofers that came in and scammed people in the community where obviously they call home. And they're a great corporate citizen, and they did that for us. They're like, what can we do to help you? And so they paid for all that for you. You don't have to pay for a job up front. If somebody gets $1,000 from you and never comes back, what are the chances of you getting that $1,000 back? Zero, none, exactly. Just saw it on the news here today. This morning, yes. People paying all this money up front. A legitimate business will give you a quote. They may ask for a down payment. In Minnesota, you get 3 days to decide you're not up for this, okay? You get to change your mind. And then, once they do the work, that is when, and been approved, that is when payment can be received or should be received. If you think a contractor has given you a bid that is way too high, or a bid that seems ridiculously low, and isn't going to get the job done the way you want it, don't hesitate to get a second opinion. There is nothing wrong with that. And if someone tells you, no, 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 again, that's when the hair on the back of your neck should start to stand up and you say, no, I'm not thinking this is the right way. Don't feel pressured. Remember I said about the moles in the yard? The offer was only good for today. How about strangers in your home? Even though it's this cold outside, someone you don't know comes to the door. Should you back away and let them in your home? No. You should not ever let them in your home. And I don't care. There can be a multitude of reasons. We had a situation, I believe it was last winter. Liz is better at dates than I am. And you will see it in your reports here. Guy comes to the door, can't breathe, says his wife's just been in a car accident, and if he doesn't pay the tow truck driver $40 cash, they're going to tow his vehicle away, and I'm your neighbor. Well, Fridley is definitely a community in transition. A lot of older folks are moving into apartments, and a lot of younger folks are moving in, so you may not know all your neighbors. And so this went on for weeks, where our folks, our Minnesota nice folks, would give him money, $40, $50, $100, and we would see the reports every day line up. And I would be like, he made $225 between 10 a.m. and 11:30 last week on one day's haul, doing the same thing to the same folks over and over again. I'm picking on a vehicle type, but if you have a Buick in your driveway, I know Buick's trying to make young people buy their cars now, but usually a Buick meant your grandma lived there, right? So they look at those kind of things and they figure out, I can get some money off of them. So one of these reports that you're reading is an example of one of his trips to the door. And they let him in, and they let him see what's in their house, how many laptops they have, how many TVs they have, cell phones, all those kind of things are right there. So keep that in mind. Don't let strangers in your house, and don't give in to the pressure. Now, my oldest son lives in South Korea. I throw him under the bus repeatedly. I say, well, I have to ask my son. I'm not going to ask my son. He doesn't even live here. Okay? But they don't know that, you know? Or I have to say I have to go get my son. Okay? If somebody's legitimate and they really are selling something legitimate, they'll leave you information where you can double check, where your son can double check on that information and make sure it's legitimate. How many of you, and I know there's a report in here of that as well, that says you owe money to the IRS, and if you don't pay, we're going to arrest you. There will be a warrant for your arrest. Now, to those of us who live law-abiding, and I live on the edge, the fact that I work for law enforcement is really kind of funny. But those of us who live within the rules of the law, someone saying that there's going to be a warrant for our arrest and they're going to take us to jail, that's immobilizing. That is immobilizing. And while I would find the humor in it at this point in my life, I'm not thinking most of us really want to go to jail, right? We don't have debtor's prison here in this country. If the IRS wants to get a hold of you, they will send you a legitimate letter with a copy of the tax return that you did incorrectly, pointing out the mistakes, and so on. And there will be a number of someone you can call back. It's not going to pop up on your computer. It's not going to come via the telephone with someone threatening you to take you to jail. And it's not going to come with any additional fines that we're talking about. So, yes, the IRS contacts you when you file an income tax return and they find a mistake. And they will go back a couple of years. But as far as these legitimate systems they have in place and how to do that, and no one's in a hurry. Again, they all go back. They're going to hit you emotionally because law-abiding citizens are immobilized by not thinking they followed the rules and that they're going to go to jail. So we don't want that to happen to you. So you know what you say? You say, no, thank you, and you hang up. Just hang up the phone. Don't return the phone call, because even if you call back, you're probably calling Nigeria, okay? All right, so they'll say that you had a payday loan, or they'll figure out over the internet that you had a car loan through a co-op somewhere or through a community state bank or something to that effect. And they will tell you you never made your last payment. And you've got to make that payment. If you don't make that payment, we're going to come and repossess your car. We're going to come and take you to jail. That is not about to happen. All right? But again, it's that emotional trigger. I went to the doctor's office, a dentist office last week, and I walked in and I went, oh, I'm here for my appointment. And they went, oh, Sarah. I went, no, I'm not Sarah. And they went, oh, Rachel. I went, I'm not Rachel. And I went, we don't have you down for an appointment. And I started to think, because I've got a lot on my plate right now, and so I'm like, did I forget? Was it the wrong day? What did I do? So how many people would do that if it was a car payment or their taxes? We all start to second doubt ourselves versus doubting what's being said to us. Luckily, the reminder card they gave me was in my purse, and I went, what? I'm supposed to be here. You guys have it wrong. Okay? So, just remember that they are doing their best to tag you emotionally, and once they can hook you emotionally, they've got you. How many of you have been on your computer and a little thing pops up that says you have a virus? And if you don't deal with this virus, have any of you had that pop up? Mm-hmm. My mom just turned 82, January 31st. Now for the third time, we have taken my mom's computer in because she clicks on that, you've got a virus. And then she gets hooked up with the guy from Nigeria who's trying to fix her computer, and she gets very frustrated, and then they lock up her computer, and so on, and it gets worse and worse, okay? So, these are called phishing scams, and if they can get you to bite in your computer, I guarantee you there is access to your checking account, credit card account, anything you've bought online, all that information about you is right there. And once you give them access, they can take all that information and use it for a very long period of time and sell it, so they may not ever use it, but then they sell it to somebody else. So 6 months down the road, a year down the road, your credit card pops up with all these bad sales on them. And what they do, they just need the number, and then they make a card and put their name on it. Because credit card transactions go through by number, not by your name. So they do that all the time. All right, so I think there's a report similar to that in here. So keep that in mind. So I love when they tell you we're verifying your checking account and your credit card account. They're not verifying that. Your credit card company does not pop up. Again, they'll just decline it. So if you go to Target and someone's been actively using your credit card and they feel it's suspicious, they will decline it. And they are very, very tenacious about that these days. So then you have to call them and say, why did you decline my credit card? And they'll say, well, weren't you just in Kansas? And you say, I wasn't ever in Kansas. And they're like, someone has your credit card number. But who paid the price? You did, because you went to Target and your groceries got declined. Okay? So, keep that in mind of why they do these phishing scams, how often they're successful, because a lot of times they'll do it and they'll have, like, let's say you have US Bank or Wells Fargo, that symbol will look very similar. There won't be enough distinction for you to think otherwise. They have the same thing with the IRS scam. So the IRS, it looks very legitimate. You have to be on your A game and not give in to that. Here are the red flags. A phone call asking for any personal information about you. All right? You don't need to give out any personal information about yourself over the phone. If you don't know who you're talking to, don't do that. In those 2 videos that I really need to show you, we talk about the grandparents scam. They'll call themselves by your grandchild's name. They will know things about your grandchild that you don't know. You and your grandchildren need to have a secret question. What's the name of your first puppy, John? And if that person doesn't know the name of the first puppy he had or where he went to elementary school, John's not in trouble, all right? So, the personal information that they ask about you, you do not provide. Receiving a check in the mail instructing you to deposit it and then resend them back money, that is always a scam under all circumstances. You don't even have to just shred it, okay? A financial institution calling to update your information. U.S. Bank and Wells Fargo or any other community credit union, they are not going to call you and update your information. And they'll have bits and pieces of your private information already. And because all that information is all out there about all of us. All the time. Okay? We telegraph our information all the time. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. And it always will be. I haven't known any time that it wasn't. If someone's asking you to wire them money or mail them money, you don't need to do that. We just had a scam over Christmas where somebody went into Walmart. They had one of those, what do you call it, Troy, where they scanner that, so they went through all the Walmart cards there, scanned them, right? Put money on them. Then other legitimate people went and bought them, put money on them, and guess what happened when those cards they gave away were to be used? There was no money on them. It was already all gone. I'm not sure who's going to lose the biggest on that deal, but it happened all through Christmas, and it happened at the Fridley Walmart. Okay?
How did they do that again?
They scanned it so that they activated the card. Okay? So then what happened was people would take the card off the shelf, gift card off the shelf, and then they would put money on it, and then they would give it to their grandson or granddaughter or whoever they were giving the gift to, and by the time that person went to use it, the money was gone because someone else had activated that card. So, not really sure how they got the equipment or the technology to do that. They probably stole it from one of the stores, but they had the ability to do that. Here's what I want to, there are 8 of you in this classroom today. First of all, I'd like you all to go tell other people about the scams you heard about today so that they won't fall victim. But secondly, if you find yourself in any of the situations that I mentioned today, call us. If you don't have a family member you can call and trust to ask, am I getting hornswoggled here? Call Liz or I. We'll tell you. We have no problem with that. If we're not working, call an officer. You call a Fridley officer and you ask them to return your call. You just call our dispatch. That's the whole 911 process. And you say, can you just have a Fridley officer call me? I'd like to talk to them about this or that situation. If you have a neighborhood resource officer, all our neighborhoods in Fridley have 2 neighborhood resource officers. So if you live in a neighborhood, you have a neighborhood resource officer. That information is on our website. Call that neighborhood resource officer or send him or her an email and say, is this a legitimate scam? This feels like a scam. And let them look at it and give you their opinion. That is what we're here for. We can tell you how many reports we take, how many people have fallen victim, but here's what we can't tell you. We can't tell you how many people that we educate and they don't end up falling victim because they knew better, because they went to a class or they called an officer and asked, and we are more excited about the people who don't become victims because we don't want that to happen to you. And yeah, I get so tired of hearing Liz go, ah, from inside her cubicle when she reads that. But the truth of the matter is we are here to serve you, and that is what we want to do. And so if your gut's telling you this doesn't feel right, trust it, call one of us and let us look at it and try to help you out. okay? A great place to get good information is the AARP Fraud Watch. The Fraud Watch will tell you about all the latest and greatest scams that are coming up and being current. They also, the Federal Trade Commission, if you go on the website of the Federal Trade Commission, they have also all kinds of information on the scams that are up and coming. They have what they call a phishing game, phishing misspelled. But the phishing game, it's literally a video game that you play, and it will tell you if you are picking the right answers to how not to become a victim of phishing. So if you think this is legitimate, and I'm going to tell you, I got 2 wrong, okay? So, and I give this class. So it's a good and entertaining way to learn some information, and it's a phishing game on the Federal Trade Commission. With that, I want to take as many questions as you possibly can throw at me and see if I can answer them. Okay, if we have if our officers have an open investigation, we don't talk about that investigation until it has been closed. Okay, but if someone is in jail, so your grandson calls you and says that they got arrested for DUI and they're in jail and they need the money now because like a sheriff's deputy is standing over them waiting for the money, that isn't how it all works, okay? How it works is you say, well, I'll verify that you're in jail, Johnny. And the way you can do that is either by calling the Anoka County Jail and asking if your grandson is there, or you can pull it up online where we have all the booking photos and what day they got booked in and how long and what their bail is and when there's a bail hearing. And so there's, again, no rush to deal with that information. Now, if you're in the hospital, we don't share that information. Hospitals lock it down tighter than we know how. But if they are in jail, that is public information, and you're entitled to know that. And it's not you pay the bail money right now or they're never going to get out. That isn't how that works. So,
I don't understand. Well, if you're in jail and you get a DWI, doesn't someone have to come and take the money to the police department so you can get released?
well, not to the police department, to the sheriff's department.
Or to the
If
sheriff's
if you're being held on bail for any reason, and it would depend the circumstances.
But someone has to take it there.
Yeah. So we don't just wire the money. That isn't how that
Exactly.
works.
No, I got it.
So, yes, if someone is in jail, someone legitimately has to, either a bail bondsman or a family member has to bring and there's an opportunity to do that, and there's no rush, and it isn't wire it or else.
They stay there till they get the money.
Yep,
Okay.
yep. My kids know, just don't call. So your question is how to safely put something on eBay or Craigslist or something to that effect. And really, law enforcement has now taken the role of, you can put these things on Craigslist. It's a good way to sell things. But don't have folks come to your home. The Sheriff's Department has a neutral spot up at the Sheriff's Department to exchange property. Because for the longest time, the Fridley had 2 spots where people would set up those exchanges, and they were actually robberies. That happened several times last summer. So make sure that you have a cell phone, that you give them a cell phone number, not a number that can be traced back to your house, and that you meet in a spot and don't go alone. If you're not willing to drive up to the Sheriff's Department to meet at their exchange spot, then at least take someone with you. Don't go by yourself. Okay, with that, I just would like to thank everybody for coming, and if you have any questions, my card will be over there, and certainly call me anytime with questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been a production of Fridley Municipal Television, Channel 17. Thanks for watching.